I just thought that I would sort of echo what you were doing. I'm ERIK NIELSEN. I live in Brookfield, Vermont in the United States, and I'm a composer. I've been writing music for almost 50 years. And I look on myself as a musical storyteller, whether that story has words or is purely instrumental. It's a big reason why I feel myself drawn to opera. I've written and had performed one full-length opera and am at work on my second right now. I also do a lot of composition teaching and mentoring, both in person and online, with students of all ages. I look on composing as one of my main contributions to our sense of community. With that in mind, I've worked really hard over the past 20 years or so, and especially in the last 5, to make my music as direct, simple, and accessible as possible within the concert music framework. I've also done a lot with artistic collaboration. I've worked with photographers, filmmakers, visual artists, dancers, and especially poets and other musicians, since I seldom perform my own work. My first musical example for you is a song for mezzo, soprano, and strings. It's taken from a set of songs I wrote in 2011 called Trajectory of Flight. I took 6 poems by a wonderful Vermont poet named Jean L. Connor, who is still with us at the ripe old age of 101. The poem's called Allegro, a May song for nesting swallows and flute. I'm going to share my screen now and read the poem first. Lay claim, my love. This flowering tree is ours. This sweet aperture, our home. Now the high notes, reedy, clear. Listen, music dipped in azure ripples towards the sun. Ascend, ascend, join forces with the flute. Come breast the sky, the gentian sky. Turn, turn, scissor the fabric, release the tethered world. Here's the music. Performed by mezzo-soprano Wendy Hoffman with a string quintet. As I've mentioned earlier, I've worked with a lot of fellow musicians. 5 years ago, I wrote a piece for the principal bassoonist of the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra in New York, William Short, and Brian Wagorn, pianist and assistant conductor with the Met. It's a 4-movement work called A Voice in the Night. Here's an excerpt from the second movement. The foghorn-like sounds you'll hear are called multiphonics, in which the bassoonist is able to play more than one note at a time. My final excerpt is one of my newest pieces. With live concerts not an option because of the pandemic, I've turned to writing for solo instruments, with the music played live on Facebook or other online medium. I also need to say that another part of my artistic mission is to use my art whenever possible to work for social justice. So this excerpt from a work for solo flute I wrote back in May is called Black Venus, and it's named after and dedicated to the memory of Josephine Baker, the African-American expatriate who was not only the most famous entertainer in Paris in the 1920s and 30s as a dancer and singer, but also worked for the French resistance in World War II, later was a civil rights activist, and throughout her life was a great humanitarian. I've tried to evoke the feeling of the Jazz Age in Paris with the main melody you'll hear. The flutist in the excerpt is Hilary Goldblatt, and I'm going to apologize in advance for the fuzzy quality of the video. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have about my work or anything else.
Hi, this is Anisha Perone, and I just want to thank you. Each piece was so different and so rich. What I liked about the first piece was your statement beforehand about storytelling, and I thought that your music was such a perfect element of the storytelling, that the soloist, it was her story, and the music didn't get in the way, and yet there were these spaces where you created, like for me, a very visual and visceral kind of experience of I could see the trees, I could see the sunlight, I could feel the wind, and so it was a sensory kind of experience. And that last piece, oh my gosh, you just really, it's like you're a sculptor. I mean, I'm a sort of musician, but I'm primarily a visual artist. And it's like you knew your medium really well. You knew the flute player, but you also knew your subject matter and Josephine Baker and the complexity of who she was. She was a human being full of vision and life and artistry, and you just really honored that. Thank you, thank you.
Well, thanks. It's very kind. Just in case anybody is interested in either hearing the full pieces or anything like that, I'm just going to share my screen again for just a second. So if you go to my website, which you can see, eriknielsenmusic.com, and then you go down here to performances, I've just started populating my website with a number of different things, and all you have to do if you, for instance, wanted to hear that first song again, would be click on Allegro, and there's the poem, and down here at the bottom, you just click on it and you can hear the music. So there's a lot of stuff about me, and so if you're interested, by all means, go to my website. Bye.